All right, everybody, I have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jeff Quintin, who is, off the charts, mega, mega successful, mega agent, expansion team, you name it, he's done it. Check the book, it's over. So today, I really want to dig in with Jeff with a couple things, which I really admire about him, which is his coachability, his ability to stay curious, his ability to be humble, being one of the top agents in the entire country. So first, Jeff, you're in New Jersey, and then you just did an expansion team. What was it? North Carolina? What is it?
Yeah, exactly. In the Outer Banks, North Carolina, another resort vacation.
And that's where where your wedding was.
Correct. Yeah, that was in South Carolina, but very close. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right. I almost got a DUI on a golf cart, so it was a little long. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyway, so guys, and so Jeff, this year in 2020, so we're recording right now at the beginning of 2021. In 2020, kind of give us the quick makeup, how many transactions did you guys do in New Jersey versus South Carolina, kind of what the makeup was, or North Carolina, right? Just give us for context for all my coaching clients, kind of what's the context there?
Yeah, so we ended up with 284 transactions closed, and there was 90 closed, I think, transactions. What was in the Outer Banks or in expansion, and nice. Actually, it's off a little bit. Actually, we ended up being at 200 at our hub, and it was 90. It's about 290 or so. Three deals got pushed into, they were supposed to close on the 30th, 31st. So I'm figuring those numbers out. But basically, it's about 290 transactions, 200 at the hub, and another 90 in expansion, about 125 million in total.
Nice.
As far as the volume, and just about 3.3 or so in GCI in that range. So we had a good year. It was a fairly good year. And I'm really proud of my hub business, because that's our local South Jersey. That's like my main core business,
Right.
So we were very, very strong there this year for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. And listen, for all my friends who are meeting Jeff for the first time, I met him, I think 2004 or 5. And in 2004 or 5, he was in what was called the M3, which then converted to the M4, which was the Mike's Millionaire Mastermind Group. And, and this guy, he was, how long ago? 2004 or 5, how old were you? Yeah,
so I'm what am I? I'm 48 now. So what's that? 15 years ago, early 30s.
Exactly. So for all my my coaching client friends, look, he's been successful for you've been a millionaire real estate agent now for more than 15 years. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I started in 92, so I've been doing this shit for 28 years now. So yeah,
exactly.
Long time.
Okay. And one of the key things that I'm dealing with nonstop, Jeff, and you probably experiencing with some of your newer agents who are excited and they're motivated, is they don't realize, man, this is a journey. This you're going to go for a while. So just sit down, buckle up, and let's get to work, and stop kind of fantasizing that within the first 6 months, you're going to make $100,000. And that, within 1 year, you're going to be, buying the new Tesla. Now, it will happen, but, not with that attitude, right? So one thing that I admire, Jeff, about you when I was thinking about this, call today, is a game changer book that I read was the Sales Acceleration Formula. And he talked about the qualities and the characteristics of the perfect salesperson. Now he's talking any industry. And I'd love your insight on this, because I was thinking about you when I thought about this, and it was number 1 was coachable, right? Number 2 was curiosity. Number 3 was past success. Number 4 was work ethic. And number 5 was intelligence. Now, I know you're lacking on that last one, but man, on those first 4, you're like a rock star. So,
yeah,
Jeff,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but honestly, man, it's super impressive. I know when I spend 10 minutes with you, you'll probably ask me 5 questions to my 1 question to you, curiosity. You're probably taking more notes than anyone that I know if we're in a learning environment, right? You're implementing faster than anyone that I know, coachability. So, could you speak to, kind of to some of my newer coaching clients that kind of like in that like first year or in their second year, and they're kind of like, hey, Patrick, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not sure what to do. Can you kind of speak to kind of these things, this journey that you've taken?
Sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here and talk about this, because this is a passion I have as well. When I look at, when we bring on people to our organization, our team, there are a few things I look for. Number one is, how coachable is someone, right? Because, if they're willing to be coachable, if they're willing to seek some structure, if they're willing to listen, and they're willing to work really hard, if they're willing to do that, I can teach everything else, right? We can implement that. But you gotta be coachable. And so coachable, when you mention that word coachable, it's like, you have to accept blind faith, right? You've got to go into things and try things and do things and really look at the success of others, because success leaves clues, and start doing the things that other people have done in their past. And if you're able to and willing to try and do those things without, let's see, like not being afraid of it, and you're willing to do that, and you're going to fail, right? But part of that process is being coachable is failing a lot, failing forward and failing often, but it's taking that extra step to go out and do it, So, what's interesting to me was to give you the back long story was before we met and then before I got involved in my Ferry organization, like the early 2000, 2001 range, I was a solo agent, right? I was a regular agent, just a solo agent working from 92 to 2000. And I met a gal at the time who was in the one-on-one program of my Ferry organization. And I didn't even know what coaching programs really was. Right. But I met her, and she was doing 250 transactions back in like 2000, which was really unheard of. And she said, hey, for you to change your business, you just need to get a coach. And I said, what's a coach? What's a real estate coach? And you need to jump right into one-on-one, and this is what you need to do, and go pay $1,000 a month. I'm like, $1,000 a month? This is nuts, right? Well, anyway, what I did was the way I used to do my business in those previous 8 years was all grind, right? It was just grinding, and there was focus there, but it's just going through it. And once it became more coachable or understanding what coach really did, I kind of did a 180, right? But what I did was I paid attention a lot, and I asked a lot of questions. And I remember my very first coaching call ever, and I still have the notes on that, was with Neil Schwartz. Neil Schwartz was my very first coach.
Nice. Right? Yeah.
And Neil's first thing he said to me, he goes, how large is your database? And I don't remember what it was. And he said, well, how often have you called that database? And I said, well, I really haven't called it much. He goes, step number one, we have a call next week, 7 days from today. Your goal is to call every single person in your database and just touch base with them and see if you can help them with real estate. There's no script involved. He says, just call every one of them. Yeah. And there might have been 500 people at the time, whatever it was. I said, okay, I can do that. So what did I do? I went back to my top producer, old school CRM, whatever it is, my papers. I don't even know where I had a 3-ring binder. I said, okay, I got some of the numbers and all. I just called everybody. And then next week I showed up at my coaching call and goes, all right, how did you do? Well, I called everyone I knew, or these past clients, and I had more business than I can know what to do with. I was completely overwhelmed, which he wanted me to be, right? He wanted me to go just throw my, jump in the fire. So I did that. I had referrals. I'm thinking about selling. I'm thinking about buying. I got somebody else. Can you give me an update on value? Like, I was really like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to these people in 8 years or whatever, haven't many times. And all of a sudden I talked to all of them, and right. But the very first thing I understood was, wow, I had somebody giving me an idea. They could see things I couldn't see, and they gave me an assignment, and I just went out and did it, right? So I took that blind faith and that step in that and implemented what the coach was telling me to do. I've never had a problem doing that kind of stuff. Like, just as a kid and just as growing up, and playing sports and riding bikes and I would, all the things that I did, I was always one that's seeking out to know, okay, first, I always had a goal to be number one, right? I always had a goal to be top, or always to be like, how do I do better? And I still do that to this day. Like, if I'm picking up a new sport or new this or new that, or I'm always asking, well, if I'm playing tennis, well, tell me, what am I doing with my backhand? Where am I missing? Am I not turning enough? Or I'm playing golf, right? I'm always, whoever I'm playing with, like, watch my swing. And so I'm seeking that a lot. So I think that coachability is is you can, it's internal for a lot, but you can learn to be coachable. You
Yeah.
can, but you got to pay attention how to do it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think for me, I just speaking for myself, man, is like, I know that I naturally wasn't very coachable. I'm so internal that it actually took a lot of effort for me to be more coachable. And so,
Sure.
I know a lot of people out there, they don't have that natural instinct. Like the first is resistance. The first is don't tell me what to do, even though they want your advice, but they still kind of just flounder with it. Right.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of that for sure.
yeah. And what's so interesting. So, and I'd be curious to get your perspective today. Like I was coaching with Monica Reynolds for a while, and I know you coached with her too. And there's something about Monica where she was like, look, what are you bringing to me as the coach? What question are you bringing today? And she actually put a lot of responsibility back onto me to bring her scenarios, to bring her problems, to bring her kind of the business question for today. What would you say what would you say is like good coaching advice? Like that really helped me evolve my coachability. Is there anything that you would kind of recommend to some of these guys who are newer to coaching, who, maybe they suck at taking notes, they show up a little late, they're not good with a calendar, yet they still have the strong desire. Like I know that they're going to become successful. Any advice that you would give with, being coachable, having a coach, kind of what your mindset is, your process, like how you do it?
Yeah. I mean, so, when I get on a coaching call or leave with a coaching call, I always have in my mind some of the things I need to get out of it. Right. So, some of the things that I'm going to share with my coach is going to be, here are the projects I'm working on. Here's my concept behind it. Here are my thoughts. Here's my vision. Do me a favor and let me share that with you. And will you poke some holes in it? Right. Like I want to see their perspective from somebody outside of being in the game, meaning like inside that project, that can look at it and say, well, what if you look at it this way? Or what if it was done that way? Or let's back up a little bit. Why are you thinking that that's this way when you could actually go this angle, right? Like there's so, so I'm always bringing to the table, like, here's my thought. And then asking for, hey, coach me on this, give me some feedback. Let me know what it looks like. What is your perspective? And being open to other people's thoughts, right? Being a little more versatile in understanding what, my way isn't the way, and it doesn't need to be the way, right? Someone else's way could be always better. Mine might be better. I don't know, but I like to be able to get be coachable enough to ask them for that feedback, So I think that would be one thing, and some of the questions that I ask, if I'm on a coaching call or a session, or I'm, let's just say I'm sitting down with somebody that's a mentor of mine or whatever. Some of the things that I might ask are things like, and this is just general stuff, like, what's the best book that you've read recently, and how's that impacted your life, right? What did you learn from that? Tell me about the biggest mistakes you made in 2020. And if you could do it all over again, ultimately, what would you have done? Like those type of intriguing questions that just pull out of people. And I'm always in my mind that way, if you could give me advice, knowing the direction I'm going, what would you say that, I need to do, right? Or what are some of the things that you've seen me do that if you could have, now that I've done them, if you knew I was going to do them, what would you tell me to do differently, right?
Yep.
So those are the type of the questions that, if you're willing to ask them, you'll get some great answers and some great advice and some great direction. Yeah. But you're gonna be willing to ask them. You got to be willing to get out. Like I go in front of my team and I'm on Zoom like this, and I got 7 or 8 agents in front of me, and I'll be going over, like right now we're going over our business plans for the year and doing 1, 3, 5s, and here's good old Frank. Frank on my team, this is his. Yeah. It's very vague, and I'm doing this for him, and and I'm saying to these guys on my 1, 3, 5, like, first I'll open up the question is, who'd like to be the guinea pig, and they all go quiet, right? And this is like, all right, now I'm just gonna pick on you. I'm going to pick somebody, so I'll pick someone and I'll go right through it. But I'll ask questions after questions. And, so tell me if if your goal is about being more educated, okay, well, tell me a little bit about your first strategy. You know what I mean? It's about, going into our learning platform that he has on here. And I'd say, well, how specifically, when are you going to go there? What are you going to look for? What are the things you need to work on as far as inside learning Zen? Like, the scripts, is it the systems? We're going to dig and dig and dig. Like, I'm going to ask out of that, like you said, 5 questions to just someone's one, right? I'm going to find out the answers. And if I hear something, I'm going to probably look at that as a seam and go to, oh, that's an opening to go down another way, right? Until I get there. And that's just that. I think that's just something you learn over time, just in presentations, the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something you said in there, one of the things that I've been asking that I noticed as a coach, also being coached, is the faster I can get my coach to know me deeply and know my strengths, but mostly my weaknesses and kind of where I suck and where I fall, like the faster I can get that on the table, like the better everything gets. Right. So it's like, they can just like, it's great when I know someone, like I finally like get to know someone. I get to know their market. I get to know their strengths, their weaknesses, their quirks, like what they're really good at, what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do. And it's like, oh my God, finally we can actually like start moving this thing forward. You know what I mean? It's like, let's get going. But it takes a long time to get there, which is kind of weird in
Sure.
You know what I mean? So let me ask you, so Jeff,
Yeah.
you've been at this now, what, how many years? 92?
28. Yeah, 28 or so.
Jeez, 28 years. Oh my gosh, man. Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so in this last decade, from 2010 to 2020, what is the most important thing that you've learned in the business? We literally went into a complete downturn and then went into a complete upcycle in real estate. It was a wild ride, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What was the most important thing that you learned?
Well, I think that, one of the things that I've learned in the entire career, not just between 2010, 2020, is the word consistency. And, one thing that we are in our business, at least the way that we operate at my team and all, it's just being consistent. And it's being consistent in the lead generation side of things and prospecting and doing that every single day, day in and day out, and never not miss a day, like the consistency of that. And when you're consistent, whether the market goes down in 2010, tanks down, or comes way back up, regardless of what the market's doing, you have a consistent business. And, it's not as much as a roller coaster. Is the market going to be a roller coaster? It is. However, our business hasn't been a roller coaster. Certainly we've had better years than other years and down years, but in those years of down years, we still thrived. We still took market share. We still did very well. And my team's always done that. But it's what we've learned is we have been consistent in our activities every single day. We've had structure around our business every single day, doing the same damn thing every day, every day, every day. It's mastering that repetitious boredom. And that itself, I would say, has been a learning thing for me, that it's not real complicated, the business. It's really simple, but it's just doing those things that you don't want to do over a long period of time and continuing to do them, and also having enthusiasm as you do it. Right. So, I think consistency is probably one of the biggest things I've learned, because I see agents all the time that are just so inconsistent and their business is all out of whack. I mean, 1 year they're on top of the world. 3 years later, they're actually out of the business. Like, they're completely out of the business. Like, we're like, dude, what happened to you? You were doing great. Yeah. Or they were splashing the pan. 3 years ago, the guy was making X dollars, crushing it. And today you look at their numbers, you're like, is that guy even in business anymore? Like, what happened? Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, they're not consistent, So I think that's the biggest thing I think that you need to be for a long-term business.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I could see that with you. You have clearly been consistent in your lead generation, in the fundamentals this entire time. And I will say, and congrats to you too, is you also explored new opportunities and, new businesses and new ventures at the same time. And I know a lot of people, like including myself, I get distracted by, like, I kind of like, I don't want to do any more of that. This is really fun and interesting to me, and I'll keep bopping around. Right. So, and I've definitely, just like you, I've seen the graveyard of agents, over the last decade, 2 decades, just like, they were like the $1 million producer 1 year on stage. And then 3 years later, we have no idea who they are, where they're at, what they're doing. And really, it's not much, and they thought that they could really go do this new thing and become successful and drop the old thing. So let me ask you a question as an entrepreneur. You know, one of the times I talked to you, you launched a new little CRM. You launched this new company down in North Carolina. You know, you've done a lot of things. You know, during the downturn, I know you flipped homes and you did some work with a bunch of your buddies and new construction. So you've bridged the gap of being a great entrepreneur inside of your marketplace. What advice do you have for, you know, people who kind of have that entrepreneurial spirit? And, you know, if we can, yes, we can manage the consistency, but how do we, you know, kind of do 2 things, 4 things? You're probably involved in like 4 or 5 businesses right now. How do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, so one is you still got to keep the fundamentals, like for sure, right? Then keep the ball rolling, keep everything going the way you need. That keeps you on track, like to your normal basis business, right? I've luckily enough been able to put some good people around me and be able to get some leverage in my life, you know, through the admin side of our business and the production side of the business to allow me to then focus on the business and other opportunities that are more meaningful to bring opportunity back to the team, you know? So it's surrounding around that, you know, as an entrepreneur, allow me to now have the time to go out. Like I just showed you, here's my, let's see it. This is a folder. What does it say?
Yeah,
projects, right? Projects, right? So in here, I've got projects in here, right? So I mean, one of my projects is a whole wealth building strategy that just, I got to check them all off, right? I just keep going through here, like in different things working on the business. I can go on and on about my projects, things I'm working on. You know, how do I do it?
How do you manage kind of, you know, between the core fundamentals of your business and these entrepreneurs? Like, are you, you know, from maybe a time management, a project management, a focus, like, you know, how do you know, like I'm in the mix of that, you know, waking up at 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh my God, I got 5 things that I'm trying to accomplish in 2021 that are all completely different and my head's spinning, right? So how do you do it? What's your kind of your secret to, you know, pushing everything forward at the same time?
So for me, you know, what I've done is, like I said, I've surrounded some people. Like I'm more of the visionary of things. And I need someone that can really be the integrator. You know, the book with Rocket Fuel, right? That kind of thing. So I've surrounded, and I'm okay to delegate the responsibility of those ideas or those details away to someone else. Where I'll have a focus and a vision and say, okay, I want to implement this. And so I need your help to go research this, and this, and bring back to me what the best solution is for that. So I'm delegating a lot of those things out. It's not going to spend my time. I can just focus on what I see as the vision and then allowing the others to bring those ideas back to me. Like right now, I'll give you an example. One of my on my business plan this year is in my hub market is to really generate the higher end more, like meaning over $1 million or better, right? Because we do. I mean, we got a lot pending right now for $1 million, and I've got a 6.5, and I'm doing a deal for 1190 right now, 1,190 now. Anyway, long story short, you know, we do some stuff over $1 million, but when you're doing 200, 300 units, you're not doing 50 of them. You know what I mean? You're only doing 20 of them, right? Or whatever. So our goal is to say, okay, how do we get to 2 to 3 a month instead of doing, you know, 1 to 1.5 a month or whatever? And I'm looking at other agents in the market, and I'm saying to myself, like, you know, this agent doesn't sell a whole lot, but why do they keep getting these high-end luxury listings? We need to be in that market. So I have a plan this year is to dominate in the luxury high-end market and be that person. So I have a whole new project going on to rebranding our luxury side of our business, right? Nice. And that's our listing packages, thinking about doing digital brochures, redoing a complete company I have right now. I'm seeking with to unveil, you know, if I get a listing, they do all this digital marketing, all the higher end luxury, and it goes out to everywhere in Forbes magazine, and just a beautiful presentation, right? Yeah. And then, like I mentioned, digital video books where you actually have the screen, and, you know, so I'm on a phone call with the guy over in the UK building that out, and just, that's my focus, right? So I look at that, and that's just one of my projects for the business, how we can be that. But I'm actually delegating a lot of that to like Jessica, our EA, and saying, all right, well, I need this done. Go have a call with this gal at this company. Go have a call with this guy, Ron, at the digital place. Tell me what we need to do. And then what do we need to do next? We need to get the videographer in place to do all the videos. Like, all that. So I'm delegating a lot, I guess and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, I don't need to do it all myself. I've learned that, you know?
I think that's, I'm probably, of like the 50 coaching clients I have right now, Jeff, like probably 15 of them are on the precipice of becoming great agents. They're good agents, and they're just really struggling with that, hiring their first executive assistant and really, A, either treating them really well, B, feeling empowered to just do it. Any just, we'll wrap up here because it's such a valuable point for a lot of my coaching clients is any advice on the delegating and the hiring process of your first executive assistant or your 10th because you sucked at the first 9, right? Because I'm sure you've had quite
So I think that the thing is you got to have a very, very clear job description. Start off number one, very clear job description and very clear responsibility. Like, this is my responsibility in this relationship and what we do here in the work business. And here's your responsibility. Let's make sure that of the two, we're very clear on what I'm going to do and what we need you to do, right? So here's the thing. I might have shared this with you before, but for this specific topic, I think this is an exercise that everybody could apply. And this applies to a lot, right? So what I do is I take just a blank piece of paper and I write a straight line down the middle that's vertical and then a horizontal. So you have a plus sign, right? You have 4 quadrants. And in the left-hand quadrant up here, we're going to put less of. And in the right-hand quadrant, we're going to put more of. At the bottom, we're going to do start doing. And the bottom over here, we're going to do stop doing. And so I'm going to really get clear on anything I'm doing or who I'm hiring and say, okay, what do I want to do less of? And I start making a list of all the things I want to do less of. I don't want to put up a sign anymore. I'm not going to enter any of my stuff in the MLS anymore. It takes too much time. I'm not doing my own photos anymore, right? Okay, what am I absolutely going to stop doing? Like I'm going to draw the line in the sand and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. Well, you know what? I'm just, I'm not going to, something that's really bogs you down with your time, whatever that may be. So for a real estate agent, it might be, okay, let's just go with this one. I'm not putting a sign up anymore, right? I can delegate that. No more signs. Okay, and then more of. Okay, what do I want to do more of? Well, I need to do more of prospecting for expired listings. I need to go and door knock more. I need to do more social media. I'm not doing that consistent enough. Right, and then down at the bottom, okay, what do I need to start doing? Well, I've always wanted to do, I wanted to take a $1 million listing or more. Like I always wanted to get $1 million listing. I want to start prospecting that area, and I need to door knock. I need to learn those markets, right? I need to preview more property. Well, anyway, all of a sudden, I have now a little mini business plan of less of, more of, stop, and start. Well, the less of and the stop, that right there becomes my new job description for whomever I want to hire and for whatever I want to do. So the less of and stop doing, you just simply say to your other person you're looking to hire and say, all right, here's my new responsibilities of the start doing and more of. This is what I want to do. And this is the shit I don't want to do. That's your job. Okay. And so that becomes I go there and I do that with my team all the time to get them to move to the next level. If I'm with my admin team or agents, like, all right, you want to go from 25 to 50 transactions. Let's talk about where you're spending your time. Let's look at this. Let's do the 4 quadrants and we design that out.
Nice.
Focus on the more of and start doing.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing, what's the thing you're the most excited about in 2021 in the business? The thing that you're most excited about in the business?
Most thing I'm excited about right now for 2021, in the real estate business itself, selling real estate, I would say dominating the luxury market.
Yeah, I can tell.
That's something that I'm super hyper focused on. Like, and what's interesting is, we already do some there, right? But just because of the declaration of that and that idea and the intention set, like I just got a $2.1 million listing that's launching tomorrow, right? We listed it before the new year. And it's just, that happens, right? You start to think and start to attract it. So that is what I'd say in the business. And then, I'm excited about other things on the business as well that we're working on, you know what I mean? And me personally, like what you're doing and so forth, like I'm building out some courses and things like that. And I want to work on my CRMs, the contact-CRM to get that better and that product and, you know what I mean? Start to build my own brand, if you will. And then that will help me leverage the expansion part of our business have agents that want to come and expand with us and partner with them. So
I definitely. I'd like you to see you up your YouTube game, my friend. I did a little YouTube search on you, and I was like, dude, come on.
That's terrible.
I need you up the game. Yeah. Let's go. You got too much great wisdom to share, too many amazing things to offer these agents. You've got 28 years of experience. You've been there, done that. The best coaches in the country, the top agents, call you their great friend. So you have a ton of wisdom to share, man. We need to get you on it.
Perfect. Appreciate that.
Okay. You're the man. Thanks so much for your time. Jeff Quintin, and then it's the Quintin Group. What's the website?
TheQuintinGroup.com.
They got, referrals to send you in New Jersey, and then also specifically where in North Carolina. Let's wrap it up there, and I'll put it into the description as well. But tell me where everybody can find you and what they can count on you for.
So also you can hit me at Jeff Quintin, and also thequintingroup.com on the website, info at the Quintin Group, or Jeff at the Quintin Group. That's spelled Quintin, thequintingroup.com.
Cool. And then what part of Jersey, and then what part of North Carolina?
Yeah, so southern New Jersey. So if you're familiar where the southern part shore of New Jersey, we service from Brigantine down to Cape May, and then we also expand into Philadelphia and those surrounding suburbs. So Center City, it's only 60 miles away, and then also Outer Banks, North Carolina, which is it's all the way out into the ocean. It's a long islands into the ocean of North Carolina.
Nice.
You can get us there too. You're the man.
You're the man. You're the legend.
Patrick, you're always the man. Thank you.